Business as Unusual is a thought-provoking podcast that explores the innovative strategies, disruptive ideas, and unconventional practices driving successful leaders and companies in the ever-evolving world of modern business. Subscribe, comment, and share for weekly inspiration with our host, Aicila.
Today, I'm delighted to feature international speaker, bestselling author, and confidence coach, Simone Knego. Simone is dedicated to empowering women to overcome self-doubt and live purpose-driven lives. Her philosophy is a perfect fit for our show, as she champions kitchen table leadership, which emphasizes that true leadership is performed through everyday choices. Simone's approach, detailed in her book, The Extraordinary Unordinary You, and on her globally ranked podcast, Her Unshakable Confidence, focuses on cultivating genuine self-assurance through her real method. We will delve into how her transformative work helps entrepreneurs build systems that reflect their values and achieve sustainable growth. Her newest book, Real Confidence, A Simple Guide to Go from Unsure to Unshakable, launches February 2026. Welcome to the show, Simone.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. Let's dive right in. We talk about what kitchen table leadership is.
Absolutely. I truly believe that we've been sold this very narrow view of what leadership is. It's the corner office, it's the boardroom, it's the title. But I believe that leadership is what we do every single day. So many of our big decisions happen around the kitchen table, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. Those are where those moments begin. And that's why I kind of call it kitchen table leadership, because we've never been told that those decisions are leadership. So we've never thought about it that way. And, it's the messy moments, the behind the scenes, it's parenting, it's all those different things. That's leadership. But again, because nobody's ever called it that, we haven't seen it that way.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really true. One of the challenges that you mentioned that you see a lot is self-doubt. Can you share a little more about that?
Yeah, I would say, if you look at statistics, it's actually crazy. And especially right now, if we're looking at confidence in the workplace, I mean, we are truly in a confidence crisis. It's the lowest confidence level pretty much in our history that people are feeling in the workplace. And, we struggle across the board. I mean, 80% of women say they struggle with low self-esteem. I would imagine it's actually more than that. I think some people just didn't answer the survey, right? Because it's hard. There are so many things happening, and we live in this social media world where people look and say, oh my gosh, that person has the most amazing life. Why don't I have that? And you doubt yourself. And for me, I doubted myself for many years. Nothing to do with social media because it didn't exist back then.
We had doubt before social media.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to affirm that for anybody who isn't aware.
Yes. Doubt has existed since the beginning of time. But I really struggled for years. And I had a pivotal moment in my life where it really changed everything for me. And it was the whole idea of, getting out of my own way, getting out of my comfort zone, right? Being comfortable, getting uncomfortable, because growth doesn't happen if you stay doing the same thing all of the time.
Yeah. No, if you want to change your life, you have to change your life.
Yeah. And so many of the things that we do, I truly believe the way we talk to ourselves is huge. So our words matter. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, whatever the not enough is, then that becomes your reality. Because if we can believe, and this is my challenge to you, is that if we can believe that we're not good enough, why can't we believe that we are, right? So if we're constantly telling ourselves that we're not capable, what if we started telling ourselves we are more than capable? What a difference would that make?
Right? Sometimes I think the words are confusing. Like I feel like there are times when I didn't realize that I didn't think I was enough because it wasn't necessarily how I thought about it. It was like, oh, I need more training.
Yes.
or I can't do that because I don't have all the skills, right? And so I don't know if you how do you think you could parse that? Like, how do you, because you don't want to be like, well, no, you don't think you're enough. Like that's a,
No, yes.
but how do you help someone sort of connect to that being a barrier that they have when they're maybe caught up in this? I don't know what I was caught up in, like the practicalities of it.
Yeah. I think anytime we, and I don't even want to say excuse, but anytime we respond to something which shows that we need more training or we need someone else to tell us what to do, it really shows that we're thinking that we're not capable of it. So, there's statistics about when a woman applies to a job versus a man will apply with like 60% of the qualifications. A woman waits until she has 100%. Okay, well, that means you're overqualified, right?
Right.
I think that we need to take a step back and say, why am I saying these things? Why is this my belief pattern? What has happened in my past that I feel like I'm not ready for this opportunity, right? Because if you wait until you feel ready, it won't happen. You have to take the action even when you don't feel ready to take the action. Like, again, that's where growth happens. But for so many women, especially, we look at that and say, oh, yeah, I'm not ready. Like someone else is going to do a better job than me at that. And I'll give you, like, my mom is an extreme example of this. So she's 86 years old now. She grew up on a farm in rural Pennsylvania. Her mom had a 6th grade education. Her dad worked in the coal mines. And in 10th grade, and what she was taught was that you're going to cook, clean, and sew. Like, you're going to marry a man, you're going to cook, clean, and sew. And, again, very small town. And her parents were from Eastern Europe. It was, So she, in 10th grade, she walked into a building that she thought was a church. It was actually the public library. And that moment changed her life because she didn't know the worlds that existed out there, right? The words on a page changed her life. And she ended up she got into University of Pittsburgh in 1957. And in 1961, she got into the University of Pittsburgh Medical School. And there were 120 people in her class. 5 of them were women. And she had to change the way she saw herself, right? It wasn't that poor me. It was like, okay, what do I need to be doing? And yes, she had to work that much harder, but so many of the obstacles we have are because we tell ourselves, stories. We tell and my challenge is tell yourself a better story, right? Because your words become your reality.
Right. You're going to tell a story anyway.
Right.
Tell one that has a little bit better plot.
What's the story you would tell your best friend?
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't tell your best friend, oh, you're never going to get that job or you're not ready for that. You'd be like, yes, go get it. Go do it. Right. Yep. Do the same thing for yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice. This feeds a little bit into this, but one of the things that you talk about is that confidence is a skill and that you build it. So can you share a little about that perspective and maybe some tips that you see and how people can do that?
Yeah, I always thought that confidence was something other people had and I didn't. I mean, I struggled for a really long time with those beliefs. And what I realized over time is it's like anything else. It's like going to the gym. It's like learning how to cook. It's any of these skills that we have, you have to practice them, right? You don't go to a gym one time and then all of a sudden you're like super fit. No, you work on it over time. And it's the same thing with confidence. It's the way you talk to yourself every single day. Like, do you really want to wake up and say, okay, this is going to be the worst day ever and I suck? No, right? So it's changing the narrative of that. And it took me a long time to realize that because I struggled so much with not believing that I was enough or not believing, and I didn't think I was capable of all of these different things.
What can you share it sounds like there was an experience or an awakening. Could you share a little bit about what that was?
Yeah. So I actually had a kind of crazy turning point. Not saying anybody else should go do this, but I was asked to do something completely out of my comfort zone. I was asked to climb a mountain. Okay. And I live in Florida at sea level. We have 16 steps. I've gone camping twice, right? I mean, not something that I really ever thought, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. But in the moment, I feel like I really needed that push. So I was asked to climb Kilimanjaro, which is in Tanzania, 19,341 feet. And I said yes. And I've had plenty of people ask me, like, why would you say yes to that? And I can't tell you why I said yes. I think the biggest thing is that I needed to get out of my own way. I needed to get out of my comfort zone because I knew that I had been playing small. I knew that I was doing things where I was like, yeah, this is just what I do every day, right? And that experience really changed my life. So I'm not saying go climb a mountain, but find something that, puts you outside of your comfort zone so that you do realize what you're capable of. And that was what that journey was for me. I completely changed the way I saw myself. And, I'm not a believer in that we need to change who we are, but I strongly believe is in that we need to change the way we see ourselves. And a lot of times it takes a big moment to say, oh, wait, I never thought I could run a 5K. I did it. Wow. Things like that where you challenge your beliefs of what you're capable of.
Yeah, sounds like surprise yourself.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. What does success look like for you?
Ooh, success is really about being happy where you are in the moment. I mean, it's not about the amount of money I have in the bank. I mean, a big part of success for me is raising good humans. I have 6 children, so raising good humans is huge for me. But I think so often we correlate success with a dollar sign or a title. And to me, it's not that at all. Like, are you happy where you are? Are you in a relationship that you want to be in? Are you doing the best you can where you are, instead of saying, oh, well, I need something bigger all the time? And I think so often that's what we see on social media. That's what we see in the world is that you have to aspire to the next big thing. And to me, it's the little things you do every day. That's what really matters. Those are what really matters.
Yeah, I agree with that. What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
So I'm not a person that likes to go back in time, but because I think that everything that I've done in my life has brought me to this moment in time. But if I had to go back in time, so I had, from the time I was 15 until I was 18, I was in an abusive relationship. And that really affected the rest of my path moving forward until I had this awakening of like, no, there's no shame. It's not your fault. Like it was a big process for me to go through. I stuffed it down for a long time. So if I did go back in time, I would say that you are capable of more than you ever think, right? There's so many things that you're going to be able to do, and don't let anybody else tell you, what you're able to do, because what matters is that you respect yourself. And yes, there'll be bumps along the road, but you have to create that belief within yourself so that you can move forward, and so that you don't think of any kind of failures as something that's you're a failure. No, if you failed at something, you failed at something. You learn from it, you move forward. But because you failed at something doesn't make you a failure. Right.
I mean, it's usually the path to our passions, right? You keep trying until you find the right mix of things.
Yeah, I've changed my mind many times in my life. I started off I was going to be a doctor, and I failed organic chemistry. And then I got a D in it the second time, and I was like, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to medical school with those grades. And I ended up going into accounting. It wasn't really exactly what I wanted to do, but my dad's like, you're really good at math. This is what you should do. Okay, fine. and then but I changed my mind many times after that. I mean, I went back to school to be a teacher. I ran a summer camp, taught horseback riding lessons. I flipped houses. I went into medical sales until I really found what I was passionate about. And that is storytelling and helping other women realize what they're capable of. So the podcasting, the speaking, the writing, like that has been life-changing for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. So one of the things that you use what's called the Real Method, and then you have a book coming out. Can you talk a little bit about those things?
Yeah. So the Real Method really came out of my journey to Kilimanjaro and beyond. I mean, that was really how that started. I wanted to kind of look back and say, okay, what was the transformation that happened for me? So that's where the Real Method came from. So it stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And the reason, other than really liking the word real, like be real, the reason that I started with respect yourself was because I remember as a kid being taught to respect my elders, my peers, but never once do I remember being taught that the most important person to respect is yourself. And I think that's so important. It's something that we need to be teaching our children, something that we need to be, reminding ourselves all the time, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm going to this meeting and I'm going to demand respect. I see it differently. You have to demonstrate it. You have to demonstrate it to yourself so that people know how they can treat you, right? So if you're angry all the time, they're not going to treat you. They're going to be angry, right?
Yeah.
It's about really showing that here, these are my boundaries, and I'm not going to let people dump work on me, and I need to take care of myself. Self-care is huge. And when people start seeing that, then that's how they're going to treat you.
Yep. No, it's really true. Do you have an example that you can share of something that, obviously not identifying, but a time that you saw this working for somebody or?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that whole idea, I would say about myself and so many other women, I used to call myself the yes girl. And so I'll give an example of a client who, she would say yes to everything because for fear of disappointing someone, for fear of missing out on something. And when you say yes to everything, then you can't get it all done, right?
Yep.
So the idea of setting a boundary and saying, no, my job is this, and I'm not going to take on your work because you're so used to me just saying, oh yeah, I'll do it all. Don't worry, I'll do it all. It's a group project. I'll do it all. And that idea where she said, no, this is how we're splitting up the roles, and this is your part. This is my part. And we'll make sure to make the committee aware that how we're splitting this up so that they know when we turn it in, if they have questions, who they should ask. So instead of saying, I'm going to blame you if, you don't turn in your work, it's more like, okay, if there's a question about it, this is the person that you should ask about this piece. And it stopped the dumping on her of constantly saying, oh yeah, she'll do it all. Just put it on her desk. No.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have a strong no, your yes is absolutely meaningless.
Yeah.
So
I think no is way more important than the yes, right? Because as soon as you say no, you open the door for the yeses that are really important to you.
Right, exactly. They can be more intentional instead of reactive. So you have a book coming out next month. And what are other things that are happening that people could, do you have programs or are there things that you're developing that you're excited to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I have group coaching starting in January. I do one-on-one coaching, but I've been asked to move into a group format as well. So I'm doing that. I am creating a mastermind. So there's a lot of good things happening. I'm most excited about my book because I feel like I've put this is my second book. My first book came out in 2020. That book was called The Extraordinary, Unordinary You. And that one was all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. We have 6 kids. In that book, I talked about our youngest 3, their adoptions. I talked about climbing Kilimanjaro. And it's a self-help book without telling you exactly what to do. So the interesting feedback I got was like, tell me exactly what to do. So in my second book, which is so funny, right? But in my second book that comes out in February, it's called Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. And that has a lot of frameworks and exercises and, really great stories, but also very specific details on like, okay, when you're struggling with this, try this. And I'm really excited because it's been 3 years of work on this one for it to come out.
That's fantastic. Well, I look forward to that. For folks that are listening and want to learn more, follow you, get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is really my website, SimoneKnego.com, SimoneKnego. You can see all the different things that are happening there. You can find me on social media as well. And you can find my new book at realconfidencebook.com, which has a bunch of different pre-order bonuses, including a really fun reverse interview that I do with my daughter. So I have a podcast with my 22-year-old daughter called Her Unshakable Confidence. And, the goal of that podcast was, to get her there quicker than I made it, right? In terms of, how you feel about yourself. So we've been recording for 2 years, and that's been an absolute blast.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Business as Unusual. Remember, in this ever-evolving world of modern business, it's not about fitting in. It's about standing out. See you next time. Stay curious, stay innovative, and always keep it unusual. I hope you enjoy the show. I love making it. If you did enjoy it, consider hopping over to the review portion of the platform you listen on and letting other people know about it. Or share the episode or the entire show with a friend or subscribe to the show. Definitely reach out, get on my newsletter, follow me on social media, and let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see in the future. Well, we love our guests. Appearance on the Business as Unusual podcast or any Bicurean consulting production is for information purposes only and is not to be considered an endorsement of their business practices, or character. Please properly vet anyone you find through this podcast and generally before you do any business with them. Thank you for listening.